Sistema Ravinia brass players, and a special hello to Jeremiah, my one horn playing student. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mr. Parker, and today I wanted to make a quick video for you to talk a little bit about some breathing exercises that we as brass players can do to feel really good about playing our instruments. Before we do that, I just wanted to say I hope all of your friends and families and yourselves are healthy and safe in this very unprecedented time, and we hope that we get to work with you again in person very soon. Let's get started with some breathing exercises. So when talking about breathing exercises, a really good place to start is the mechanics inside of our bodies that actually allow us to breathe in the first place. Now, you might know that one of the main organs involved in breathing are our lungs. And what you might not know is that the lungs themselves are not actually muscles. There are a few muscles which help us breathe, but the lungs themselves are not muscles. Right underneath our lungs, there is a muscle known as the diaphragm. Now, the diaphragm is one of the main muscles that we use when we breathe, and instead of pulling up and feeling very constricted, the diaphragm actually pulls down. And what that does is allow our lungs to expand. It makes more space inside of our chest cavity so that we can breathe and take in a ton of air. Another set of muscles that's very important to know about are called the intercostal muscles, and they are the muscles that line all of your ribs in your rib cage. So when you picture a rib cage either on a skeleton or on some diagram that you might have seen in a health textbook, you know that the ribs have spaces in between them. But actually when they're inside of your body, those spaces are filled with muscles, which are called the intercostal muscles. Now when we breathe, those help the chest cavity also to expand and also to rise up so that our lungs have as much space as possible to take in a ton of air. So when we breathe in or inhale, we can fill up all of this space, and by just simply relaxing all of those muscles, we can let all of that air out. So why is this important to us as brass players? Well, it's important because some of the breathing exercises that we're about to do are specially designed to think about all of these different muscles and organs that we have inside of our bodies so that we can be as efficient as possible and use our air to the best of our ability. One way to check if you have a healthy inhale is to take your hand, make a L shape with your hand, and I want you to put that right under your nose. And by breathing using the syllable O, breathing in, inhaling using that syllable O, we're going to be able to create a zipper sound with our air, and it's going to sound like this. I hope you can hear that on the microphone that I'm using. But let's try that one more time. So when you hear that healthy zipper sound, it means that you are taking in a ton of air. You're able to use all of that air to then play your trumpet, your horn, your trombone, or your tuba, or any of the other numerous instruments that use air to function. So now it's time to talk about some specific breathing exercises that we can do to make us feel really good about using our air. So the first of our breathing exercises is called the bend over breath. And it's pretty simple. We're just gonna bend over right at our waist, kind of like you're gonna go and touch your toes. And once you're there, you're then gonna rise back up. Using that same O syllable, we're just gonna take a nice healthy inhale. And it's gonna look something like this. One more time. So what this allows us to do is to practice physically manipulating the amount of space that we have in our chest in order to breathe. Now, of course, you know that when you play your brass instrument, you aren't bending at the waist and moving around a lot, but it does help us to feel what it's like to kind of crunch everything down and then to let it expand so we have all of this room to take in as much air as possible. So when doing this exercise at home, if you start to feel lightheaded, that's okay. Feel free to just stop and take a break. As you do this more and more over the course of days, weeks, months, years, you'll find that you will get less and less dizzy by taking in all of that oxygen at any given time. So with our first breathing exercise, we focused a lot on our inhale and what it feels like to take in a really healthy amount of air by making the space for the air to go. And with this next exercise, we're going to focus on our exhale. Now, normally it doesn't take very much effort for our body to exhale our air, but when we play brass instruments, we need to be able to focus that air so that we can use it to play the instrument. So I want everyone to pretend like you are an archer and you have your bow and arrow, except for your arrow in this instance is going to be made out of air. So I want you to hold your bow and arrow, and when you take in your air with your inhale using that good O syllable again, we're going to take that in and we're going to pull back. And when we let go, we're going to show the direction of our arrow with our air, and it's going to look like this. So let's try that whole thing now. One more time. Very good. So with our last breathing exercise for today, we're just going to need one tool, which is a metronome. And if you don't have an actual metronome, you can get one on an app, either on your phone or on a tablet like I have here. So we're going to set our metronome to quarter note equals 60 BPM, which means beats per minute. This is a really good breathing exercise, not only to practice our breathing, but also to get really comfortable using a metronome and staying in time. So we're going to set this so that it's nice and audible. And then we're going to breathe in for 4 counts and breathe out for 4 counts. Let's give this a shot. Ready? Breathe in and out. Again. Excellent. So now we're going to decrease the amount of time that we're able to inhale for and increase the amount of time that we're going to exhale for. So now we're going to inhale for 2 beats and we're going to exhale for 8 beats. Let's give that a try. 2, ready, and so as you continue along with that particular exercise, you can change the amount of beats in which you breathe in and change the amount of beats in which you breathe out and really start to stretch your limits and see how big you can make your lungs, how much air you can take in, and how efficiently you can use it to blow it out in a steady stream of air. Now remember, when we do this exercise, we want to avoid having things like where we're pulsing our air. Our air is always going to be one solid column, very smooth, very relaxed. So those are just a few breathing exercises that I do in my daily warm-up and that you can do at home to start feeling really awesome about taking in a ton of air. So by the time we are back in person, all of you brass players at Sistema Ravinia will be total rock stars and you'll be able to play for days. Thanks for spending some time with me today, and I hope to see you all in person very soon. Bye!